Hello and welcome to Alpha Tauri, a frustrating race just beyond pure performance last time out at Australia. This time around, Azerbaijan, a track not known for its entirely clean races. It's also a sprint weekend, which means even more laps to try and negotiate without crashing. Here goes. Car news. We now have an underfloor and the marginal, incredibly marginal suspension that the game arrives with. I hadn't even noticed this because I don't have the tutorials on, so my attention wasn't drawn to it. It's literally like 1.0001 top speed, etc. It's nothing really, but it is better than the one that we had to start with. So it's on, manufactured. Same with the underfloor, same with the front wing. Unfortunately, we are still terrible. But there's a rear wing in development, also a chassis being developed and a side pod being developed. They will not be with us for this race, nor will they be with us probably for the next one either. Because we can't just rush parts quite as willy-nilly, because we have to really put that spare money into engines, probably over the course of the season now, with them being 4 million more expensive than they were last year, and with emergency parts costing so much more than they did last year as well. We have to sort of weigh those options up and not be quite as reckless in going, just give me 5 of those now. We have to actually sort of develop them in advance. So they'll likely be there for Imola, or one of those pieces will be there for Imola, one of them will be there for Monaco. But definitely should be there for Barcelona for both of them. And I don't quite know where the third one will arrive yet because I don't know what the development time for that is. It's a rear wing, they tend to be a little bit faster, so they could be there for Imola, even though it's arriving later as a design. Rear and front wings take the least amount of time to manufacture, I've noticed. So could be with us for Imola, definitely will be with us for Monte Carlo, I suspect. Don't know, I just call it Monte Carlo, Monaco, you know what I mean. Also just continuing to bribe the board more. Helipad and Tour Centre both up to level 4 now as well. I'm not going to do them to level 5, I'm going to do them at level 5 once the condition wears down a little bit. And it's all, rather than refurb them, we'll just do level 5. They don't cost a lot, even now, but I didn't mind blasting through them that early. But now we'll just wait until it's the best point to do it, really. Same with the board, that's going to be up to level 4. We'll wait for that to wear down and then we'll take level 5. Even if I need every tiny percentage point of race confidence going forward, because the board don't like me. I mean, they're satisfied with the objectives and they're satisfied with the finances, but race performance, we're the 9th fastest car. I don't quite know why they want 7th. I mean, we probably can get 7th by the end of the season, but maybe not by the midpoint when they might fire us. But that's all the news at this point. I will see you for qualifying, then the sprint, then the race. I've only got one practice period as well, so I better hope nobody crashes. Guess what? Practice had both rain and a red flag. Also, because he ended that session without having any knowledge of his new setup, apparently he has 20% preparation for this, even though that he does have one setup which he knows is 84%. Frontier, sort that one out, please, because I know I can just go on to that, which I'm going to do, because I can't trust the other ones. Like, I know he needs more straights, but I can't really do much about that. Now, for Yuki Tsunoda, I'm pretty certain this is his setup, because his previous one was 95, and he's got optimal on these 4, and the bottom one was optimal to begin with. So I'm pretty certain. Oh no, tell a lie, it wasn't. It was just great. But the fact that this was knocked yourself into optimal, it's going to be better at least, because that's barely moved. Also, because Yuki was apparently crashed into in Australia, Jogan, you got the penalty, even though it looked like a 50-50 really. But yeah, he's broken everything a little bit. The gearbox went to 40%. I'm not using his best gearbox here either, just in case. I kind of feel like I have to use his better engine though. So essentially what this means is, Dink de Vries, we're expecting him to be last. Everyone's come out immediately. That moderate rain, that'll be white. Flying lap, apparently our tyres are cold, but I'm bored with Yuki Tsunoda. Hopefully we can get this lap done before the rain comes in. So far so good as we head off what would be DRS sections. I presume we're all good on that front because it's not wet yet, even though it looks like it's nighttime. Where does sector 1 finish? Oh, it must be about there, because I was wondering why Yuki Tsunoda still had the fastest first sector, even though there was a Merc and an Aston Martin not too far behind. On the road, which apparently should start raining now. But I'm not complaining if it kind of waits until at the very least we're on the straight, when there's very little they need to do. I'm now hoping for rain, because obviously if it rains, then we might get through here. Start now. Start raining now. There's 2 behind us, that's fine. First McLaren is quite a significant portion behind that Aston Martin and Merc combo. If it starts raining now, they'll all get caught out on it. Unfortunately, it's way too long. 1:45.4. Not quite sure how that stacks up. De Vries is shockingly bad. It should start raining now, apparently, but looks like we're going to be unlucky. Oh, it's just coming on now. How many people are going to be affected by this? There's still 11 people yet to set a time. Gasly puts one in. 7 people still yet to set a time, and it's now basically wet. Oh, God. Stroll goes slower than De Vries. Show goes slower than De Vries. These last batch are all going to be slower. So Yuki sneaks through, just. Stroll's out. Yeah, it's not going to be dry by the end, so there we have it. That's Sonoda through then. The AI still come out again. I don't know why. It's really weird, this, because they've got the intelligence to go out early to try and avoid the rain, but then they still come out once the track is wet, and there is zero chance of improving their times. Like, I'd almost understand it if it was the bottom 5 or just the ones that were in danger. It's like, oh, maybe we can improve even though obviously it's wet and they're not going to. You know, ones at the top have still come out there. There's an Aston Martin, right? Oh, mind you, that could be Stroll. It isn't Stroll. That's Alonso, who's in pole, who's on the track right now on intermediates for zero reason. So we sneak Yuki Tsunoda through. Oh, his confidence is actually up to medium now, which makes no sense. Oh, so this plus minus on the effect isn't just straight up depending on where the bar is. It's also where they are within the bar, because they're both on medium, and yet Yuki's +1 on some things and Nick's -1 on some things. Interesting. Apparently now it's full wet. It is. Okay. This isn't going to work in our favour because it's the wrong way around. It's Azerbaijan. Get a time in. It will be intermediate conditions at the end. It's just a case of get a time in. Get on time on the board in case someone red flags it, or yellow flags it, more to the point. Engineer getting a little bit excited by crossing the line first and getting P1. Bottas and Norris still behind, though, on like for like. All right, so this is definitely going to be damp at the end. It's also going to be slightly less damp at the very, very end. Some people are gone now, it seems like, which, wild choice. It's a slightly... So I'm going to put a minute on top of the 2 minutes it takes to get round and go now with Yuki. Everyone should now be on in-laps. So Yuki should be the only person driving around on this track and not getting in the way, but he still has 40 seconds to spare. He could have gone with 2 minutes 20 to go there, but I think everyone should be coming into the pits after this lap. So I need that Ferrari at the very, very tail that I'm concerned he's going to get caught on. So I don't think he's even going to catch that Ferrari either. Truly on board with Yuki Tsunoda as he tries this flying lap. Obviously he's going to go faster, so the sectors are going to mean absolutely nothing. Still zero sense of, you know, how we're doing in comparison to someone else. Literally anyone else. All I know is I've done a 39.8. I wish that just showed the sector time by that point of someone else, rather than the leader. Like the Q10, like the person in 10th, that should be their time there as of the next sector, so I can at least see if we're doing better than them. So 151 something. 151.8 from Hulkenberg, I assume. 151.9. 151... No, he's done a 152. Even having the best of those conditions, he did a 152. Actually, Norris and Albon got into the top 10 somehow. How have they done that? But he beats Bottas and he beats Magnussen, weirdly. Right, more practice and then a sprint. The two Williamses collided in that practice session, with Albon being taken out by his teammate, who's now got a penalty. Don't know how that applies, but one thing I do know is Albon won't start from the pit lane or the back of the grid, let's say, with new engine parts, because that's not properly put in there. I also couldn't change the setups in practice too. I'm not sure on the old version of sprint weekends if you could actually change things in practice too. I assume you have to use the same engine parts in practice, sprint and the race, but in qualifying, in the practice sessions, I would have thought you still would have been able to mess around with setups, because what's the point of a second practice session if you then can't do anything further on it? But yeah, the good news is they'll very least start a little bit higher than they were before. There was also another red flag, of course, because of that. Now, I've done the Azerbaijan Grand Prix on stream with Haas already, so I know that the game tries to mug you off here. If I get out of the way, you can see that it gives you the two options of soft or medium. I know for a fact that every single driver will be doing the softs. We've got softs coming out of the wazoo because it was one set of softs in Q1 before the rain came, and it was a wet Q2 anyway for Tsunoda, so plenty of softs to go around as the game crashes. The good news for that crash, by the way, is it doesn't actually break anything. Whilst it's irritating, all you have to do essentially is wait for the game to reboot, but I'm not going to cut that out of the video just because I want to show the full representation in case you're thinking of getting the game, and that might annoy people. And it typically works on second try. Yuki 13th, Nick 17th? I don't know if Sargent outqualified him originally. I don't think he did. I noticed Sargent hasn't been penalised there. Maybe he gets penalised for the race. We'll keep an eye on where he finishes in the sprint here to see if that translates to where he starts the actual race. But Yuki's immediately been challenged by Bottas and not really making any attempt to get anywhere near these two Alpines. That's a problem. And I've seen enough of this to know that I think Bottas will ultimately have this. Watch the track. The track temperature is quite warm here. De Vries is actually having a go at Piastri. He just said wow because he apparently got re-overtaken. But yeah, Bottas and Tsunoda in a bit of a tussle there. De Vries failing to actually get Piastri. Now he's got Stroll for company, who is faster than him and will cause... See, Stroll overtaking De Vries here will cause a confidence drop, which shouldn't happen because it's Lance Stroll in an Aston Martin who is significantly faster. There's an incident. Oh, for God's sake. Front wing. What's he done there? Has he hit Oscar Piastri?
With a nasty crash into the barrier.
Oh no, he's hit the barrier. Okay. It's major front wing. In the meantime, I've not noticed that everything is kind of problematic now. But, don't even change the tyres. Just change the front wing. It's not even worth it. What do you mean no changes? I'm changing the front wing. Oh, don't tell me you can't come into the pit and change the front wing without changing the tyres. I can do it next lap, but not this lap. If I put new tyres on, I can do it this lap. I'm so confused. It's going to ruin another set for the race. I think he marginally damaged the tyres actually in the process because they were like 6% worse. I need him in now. That front wing's... If anyone else has any incidents, then I might be able to capitalise late on, but whatever. I need you to get that temperature down, Yuki. You don't appear to be getting that temperature down, Yuki. All you appear to be doing is losing Gasly. Helpful. There we go. Got there in the end. Now he's going to be having a tete-a-tete with Bottas for the remainder of this sprint. Why is that flashing at me? Yes, I know the chassis got damaged. Lap 5, Tsunoda's got Bottas at least. And I don't know where Hulkenberg started, but he's now being hounded by Russell, so that's a pain I already recognise. Although Hulkenberg will still finish 8th here because there's people not like Ocon who haven't just gone straight through that top 10 like they did in the stream version of this. Like I've done this with Haas and Ocon just drove straight through everyone and got to 5th. He doesn't seem to be doing anywhere near as good in this one, so I feel I'm calling shenanigans on that. And bear in mind that's Albon and Norris ahead of him, who are obviously slower than the Alpine at this point in time. And he's not making any inroads. I call shenanigans on that. That chassis damage must clearly be doing something because he's actually losing time on Zhou Guanyu. But Tsunoda and Bottas, I imagine Bottas will get him back again here. And Stroll's not making anywhere near as much inroads either. Stroll started the sprint last time out with the Haas save in 20th. He was last because he crashed in practice. In qualifying, sorry. He was dead last and he finished 12th or even higher perhaps. And yet, hello, incident. Oh, that's a red flag. I mean, it's helpful for Nick. Yeah, just stay on the same tyre, no changes. The whole point of that tyre was just meant to get to the end of the race. Now, the strategy here is a one-stop, I think, actually. So we only really need one full, clean set of softs. Just intrigued to know. Literally everyone else just went on a new set. Get them up a temperature. Oh, the fuel's obviously, we apparently gained fuel, even though we've technically not done any laps. But Nick's back in it, even though everyone else is on brand new fresh softs for some reason. I mean, they typically only need one for they're only going to need one for the race because they won't do two-stop, probably. I think it's a one-stop here. I can't remember. Oh, Hamilton's out. Hamilton and Alonso crashed into each other. I didn't see the highlight of the accident. Yuki's still 13th, despite the fact 2 people have crashed ahead of him. Magnussen got through. When did Magnussen get through Tsunoda and Bottas? Occupies going to be 5th. Why couldn't that happen in our Haas save? Why would anyone in their own right? Bring the temperature down, Yuki. Bring the temperature down. Oh, yeah. Nick should be fine then. Even if he can't keep up with Zhou Guanyu somehow. He can't seem to keep his temperatures down, Nick. Nick, temperatures down, Nick. Yuki's on conserve and still can't do it. 2 hot tyres is a massive detriment in this year's game. Despite 2 people crashing ahead of him, Yuki Tsunoda is going to finish further back than he started this sprint. Please make it make sense. I know Stroll's come through. I was expecting that 1 place loss anyway, but the fact we've lost places to... Magnussen's just driven through the Alpines. How's he done that? I didn't see him do it, obviously, because I'm not paying attention to him, but Magnussen's gone through the Alpines like they weren't even there. It's the same lap. And now he's going to get Albon as well, I think. The Haas has come alive all of a sudden after this red flag. He's doing 148 ones, which actually is slower than the front runners, admittedly, but... Oh, Nick actually got a show. I haven't seen the highlight for it. Wait, why is the hot 104 all of a sudden? Sorry, what? Why is his temperature just gone up like 2 degrees in the space of 2 corners there? And why was he saying his tyres are too hot at 104 when Yuki's over 104 and they're not too hot? Something isn't right here. Also, they really need to sort out the rubber levels. Like, that level of rubber is absolutely nonsensical. That line should be just whomph. Straight up. Like, it should be sort of like an exponential, negative exponential, so up quite quickly and then stave off. Oh, Bottas has been overtaken by Stroll at least, and even though he was conserving tyres, he's managed to drop Piastri, has Tsunoda, somehow. De Vries got re-overtaken by Zhou Guanyu, and again, we weren't shown the highlight for that. Here we go. We saw that one live at least, provided he makes it stick, of course. I think we can obviously burn the fuel to the end of the race now. We'll go full deploy on the last 2 laps. Sort of aimlessly. To restart this race 17th, he's going to end it 17th despite 2 people crashing. Tsunoda started this sprint 13th, he's going to finish it 14th despite 2 people crashing. God, it's pain being AlphaTauri manager, isn't it? Good God. Despite the fact we watched that highlight live, we still didn't get the replay. Our replay's broken in sprints, what's happened there? Just trying to bring these tyres down so that we can do the last 2 laps on full deploy. De Vries is behind on this final lap, so we should get ahead, I suspect. At least deploying got Yuki on the back of Bottas, so he might be able to start the race 13th after all. Be behind the line, Yuki, be behind the line. Never mind. Maybe he'll stick it out anyway with deployment. Nick De Vries has done the same thing. Hey, excellent. He's made his stick. Oh, Stroll has actually just burned his way through to 9th. Magnussen is 7th. Maybe the Haas brought upgrades. I can't explain that. He's clearly terrible on his tyres though. Jesus. Yeah. No hope of getting Ocon or Gasly, who are fighting each other, actually. So we'll start the race exactly where we started the sprint, despite Hamilton and Alonso. Great. Perez wins, though. As frustrating it may be to start the race where we, qualified, it's the same for Ocon, Gasly, Bottas, etc. Piastri and Sargent obviously gained places because of Nick de Vries's incident. And to be fair, if he hadn't had that incident, he'd have been up to 15th probably as well. Pierre Gasly with a penalty for the race, and Logan Sargent with a penalty for the race. They start 12th and 16th as things stand, so we'll see where they actually start. It's quite funny that one of the mandatory things is soft to hards. When you switch it to soft to medium, it's immediately 5 seconds faster. And then shift it to a more optimal pit stop, and we find ourselves lap 23 to 25, all give you minus 13. So I think the one in the middle is probably the option one of lap 24. There we go. We'll do that as a strategy. There is a two-stopper, but it's 132.14 versus 132.05 even on that version. So Yuki starting higher, soft to medium, Nick starting lower, medium to soft. I can see Nick starting 16th, so he has gained a place, and Tsunoda is starting 12th, so he's gained a place as well. I don't think Nick wasn't close enough to Gasly to benefit from that one. I think Gasly's going to start 15th.
Here we go with the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
Off we go indeed. So, De Vries in 16th. Sargent at the back with Hamilton Alonso or having already either overtaken him or being behind them to begin with the penalty. I don't know if Gasly started 15th or 14th, but he's got to 14th regardless, nonetheless. As Hülkenberg overtakes Russell. What is going on with those Haas? What, and why are they so much better than the Haas that I have to deal with? Anyway, no early incidents on those first corners. I'll allow Yuki to push those softs a little bit harder. Get him up a few more degrees, maybe to around 98-ish. The majority of the top 13 on softs and pretty much everyone down from there on mediums, apart from Zhou and Sargent. There we are. That's warm enough for those tyres. Gasly's dealt with Bottas immediately as well. Good God. Bottas is on mediums. Piastri's on mediums, actually, so. And Ocon on softs? No, Ocon's on mediums and still driving away from us. Sure. Such is the nature of our vehicle, apparently. But Nick de Vries hounding Piastri once again in this race. Or this track, I should say. 21 hunting 81. It is well that Tsunoda can't keep up with Ocon on mediums. And just because it's literally the first highlight we've seen involving our vehicles, at least highlights aren't broken entirely. What is Gasly doing there? Former teammates, of course, prior to this year. That's a new line. Yeah, if Yuki can hold with Gasly, bizarrely, even though he can't hold with Ocon on mediums, if he could hold on to Gasly for another lap and get DRS, that'd be great. Oh, actually, no, technically, the first DRS detection point is immediately around the corner because there's a detection point there for the next straight. So Gasly will help tow him along a little bit away from Bottas, maybe. Maybe, being the operative word. Yeah, just tuck him behind, Yuki, tuck him behind. As Zhou goes past De Vries, and now Alonso exists immediately. I mean, at this point, mate, rarely defend. It's Hamilton next, I think. Yeah, it's Hamilton next. Don't defend from him, as he's now sad because Alonso's overtaken him. For God's sake. This confidence system is somewhat broken because it affects their attributes. So the fact that someone like Alonso has crashed in the sprint and then started behind him, now has overtaken him, dumb. And what happened, what I was hoping would happen, has happened here. The DRS with Gasly has brought us both into range of Ocon again, as his early pace seems to have disappeared. I can't make head nor tail of that. I think they've improved the kind of sense that AI will drive in phases now. Like they'll do a little phase where they're kind of on it, and then a little phase where they'll maybe back off, and maybe this is a backing off phase, or he was previously in an attacking phase. I don't know. Yuki has overtaken Gasly and then stayed ahead of Gasly to then attack Ocon this lap. But I've specifically told De Vries not to defend here against Hamilton. So let's watch his confidence get broken even further. Even though it's Lewis Hamilton overtaking him. How stupid is that? Yeah, Frontier are going to have to work on that because it becomes a chain reaction. Because his confidence is low, then he drives worse. But now always defend because it's Logan Sargent behind you. Yeah, he's not held on to Hamilton, obviously, so that's fine. But because he's been overtaken by Alonso and because he's been overtaken by Hamilton, his confidence has gone down. Therefore, his driving ability has gone down because it affects the just straight-up attributes he has. And therefore, he can't keep up with Zhou Guanyu because now he is a significantly worse driver, although Zhou is on softs. Actually, I now notice. I think Sargent is as well. But Yuki's driver confidence is very high, so he's driving better than he normally would. Which is actually fine because he's made 2 overtakes, Bottas and Gasly, actually, hasn't he? He's still in DRS range of Ocon, just. Ocon's on medium, so he should be faster than them, but he isn't. But use that DRS, Yuki. Use it, my friend. Russell did get Hülkenberg in the end, has gapped him. Stroll's gone through all of them and is now 5th. Norris is holding on to 9th. Albon's holding on to 10th for the time being. But we're in the train without Albon now. Sarge's now overtaken De Vries because he's on softs as well. That one's a little bit more depressing because, you know, whilst he's on better tyres, he's not that much of a better driver. He's not a better driver, actually. He's worse. Logan Sargent is the worst driver on the grid, but he is on soft tyres in a marginally better car. Although I think the car is better than it should be. Williams should be in his DRS, though, so that might help. Yuki's gapped Gasly. Now, I don't know if that's just because Alonso's kind of pressuring Gasly from behind, so he's forcing him to defend rather than, you know, attack. But Yuki's having a sniff at Albon here. Alcon's got through him, and Alonso did get Gasly in the meanwhile. Yeah, De Vries has been dragged along by Sargent now, which, you know, something. I mean, hopefully you can stay within a second here. Yep. Just making him pressure Sargent a little bit more there. If you can get an overtake on him, that would be, you know, I don't know if you get more for an overtake and then lose less for being overtaken, but he's going to be behind by that checkpoint, which is nice. And then they're both getting into range of Zhou Guanyu now. Yay, he's only got low confidence now. We've not really had many overtakes involving our vehicles. Opens up is the straight, Crofty. There we go. Haven't they just told Crofty to say thank you very much, says every driver? Is that the instructions he's been given in the voiceover booth? Because that might get a bit irritating the further we go into these saves. I'm intrigued to see what happens with Alonso now. Because Alonso's now at the back of a 4 train that's being led by Ocon, who's also on mediums, with 2 drivers on soft in the middle who are slower drivers overall, but are on softs. Yuki had a sniff of Albon there. Failing to overtake there knocked his confidence, which is a shame, but... And there. How weird. It does terrify me that they go side by side through Castle. I almost want to let Alonso through here. Also, 11 laps, no incidents. Apparently Sargent's overtaken De Vries twice in a row there. I don't know how he's managed that without being re-overtaken in between. I didn't get that highlight. Okay, so De Vries has done that right, at least. But we have now lost Zhou Guanyu in the sense of fighting each other, which is sad. We join back in lap 15, where the gap has formed between Ocon and Tsunoda, who now has Hamilton in his train to boot. So I suspect this is the end of the defense of Tsunoda versus Alonso, but hopefully we can use Alonso to then get back onto the end of Albon and Ocon. Alonso didn't go for it there, but he probably will do on this straight. There he goes. Good for him. Left Hamilton behind, though, which is interesting. De Vries is back to medium confidence, by the way, as he continually overtakes and re-overtakes the Sargent every lap. And they're closing on Zhou Guanyu, who's also on soft tyres that are wearing out. But Zhou Guanyu apparently is on his personal best first sector, because of course he has. Now, 0 toe, 66% tyres, personal best first sector. Logic. So Tsunoda stayed within DRS, which is good, but he's going to not have it next time, I don't think. That's a shame. We can bring up the aggression a little bit, get these tyres a smidge warmer, try to keep him in DRS range, and fail. Slap 18, and we're back into a DRS situation. It's now Albon on the back of that. Alonso's got through Albon. De Vries has taken Sargent again, because of course he has. Now, don't forget, Yuki goes lap 24, De Vries goes lap 28, I think, onto the opposite tyre. Albon has immediately lost Ocon Alonso there as well. Tsunoda gets ahead of him for some reason. Let's go! Yes, Yuki. Pump up that jam. Unfortunately, I think Albon had the DRS on the second straight, and now he's been overtaken by both. We don't get the replay for the original overtake. Thanks for that, Gabe. Yeah, so Albon was behind. I mean, in the long run, this would work out for us because it allows Hamilton to just go, but that's so frustrating. He's down to 14th now. Don't fight Hamilton. Let Hamilton take Albon. At some point, these tyres are going to be worthwhile for De Vries over Sargent. It's not happened yet, and Zhou Guanyu for that matter. Hamilton seemed to be more invested in defending that lap than attacking, which I don't really understand. Pit window open, we'll go a little bit aggressive on the tyres. I'm failing to see how De Vries isn't just dropping Sargent now. He should just be dropping him. Ultimate lap for Yuki Tsunoda. We'll push the fuel on this lap as well. He's actually got DRS to range of Albon. Zooms past Albon in the process, and now he's ahead. De Vries, meanwhile, Sargent has pitted. I'll push his fuel from here. Yeah, don't use all your ERS, Yuki. Save some for the rest of us. You got into DRS range with Hamilton, which doesn't really help him, but apologies, I forgot to come back there. But Tsunoda in and out. Head of Gasly, who pitted earlier. Wait, he had a pit stop issue? It's not raining, but it's pouring. Rear right, doesn't come off. Great. Still comes out ahead of Gasly, only 1.2 though. And he's got to warm these tyres up. I got a feeling Gasly might end up in DRS range while he warms these up. Yeah, we can go a little bit more aggressive on these tyres. Nick. Yeah, so Tsunoda's now in fight with Gasly, unfortunately, which is going to slow them both down. That's not great news for either one. Good news, Bottas had an issue as well. Nick on to softs. Tsunoda and Gasly are fighting. I've not seen a single interruption to say he's been overtaken, but he has been, clearly. Albon yet to pit? Albon's yet to pit. He's going to be on fresher mediums towards the end of the race. Magnussen went on to hards. I've not seen that yet. Hamilton yet to pit, Alonso yet to pit. Off mediums. You know, if we don't waste too much time fighting here, we might actually both get Albon. Just let him drag you along, Yuki. So Nick comes out way last, there was a replay notice there. I just spotted that, but because they're doing soft medium runs and therefore pitted a lot earlier, there's now up to Nick to get caught up. Oh, Bottas is Gasly's just run away from Tsunoda now, which isn't great, but ultimately will help both of them because they're not going to be fighting each other. Tsunoda comes out 10 seconds ahead of Albon. 10 seconds. That's how much that cost him. Well, I think Alonso's pitted, but Hamilton hasn't. And because Hamilton hasn't pitted yet, he's only 4 seconds ahead of Alonso. That's crazy. In terms of Toledo, it's about 20 seconds here, so Hamilton will probably come out around Gasly in 13 when he pits, if he pits. I've heard apparently that sometimes the AI can get away with not stopping at all, but De Vries has caught Zhou Guanyu at the back. Hopefully that'll make him no longer worst of everyone. Stick on battle assist because he's going to get into range now. Every lap Hamilton doesn't pit, I think we gain on him. No, we don't. We're doing same lap times as him, and even though he's on terrible tyres at this point. De Vries got Zhou. He's on the better tyres as well, of course. Yep, and now he just drives away. Better. Deploy away from Zhou Guanyu just so he doesn't get any sniff going forward. Should be able to catch Sargent as well, who's in the same boat as him on a medium, but he isn't. De Vries on a soft is slower than Sargent on a medium. Make it make sense, please. Just make it make sense. What do you mean failed overtake? Zhou Guanyu's got him back! Oh, it's because of lapped vehicles. So Nick obviously let someone by in a stupid place, even though we had previously gapped Zhou Guanyu by 1.5 seconds at least. It's only a virtual safety car. I don't know who's crashed. Oh, there's an Alpine not moving. Oscar Piastri. Not helpful for us. Well, it's helpful for Nick De Vries, but that's it. I mean, we'll watch the crash, but I think I know what he's done. I think he's just gone straight on turn 1. Oh no, he's span. I mean, he's ruined his rear wing, but realistically, he'd have got going there again and driven back to the pit. He may have retired, but he wouldn't have retired on track. Also, a VSC is utterly pointless in this situation. It does absolutely nothing for anyone except give us fuel and tyre. Oh, Tsunoda caught Gasly at some point. Hamilton pits under the VSC. That saves his race. He'll come out ahead of Gasly now. Maybe? He still comes out behind us. Admittedly right behind us, but it still comes out behind us. Okay, VSC over. We've restarted Yuki Tsunoda on the tail of Gasly. Can't make a mind up whether he's 1.7 or 1 second behind the timing sheet. He's very confused right now. He's clear within a second. He's got DRS. Because VSC doesn't reset that. Alright, so Zhou. Now we should try and drive away from Zhou Guanyu. Tsunoda's overtaken Gasly somewhere. Sort of making him more the cannon fodder for Hamilton is the point here. Hopefully. Oh, he's got those tyres up to temperature, that's for sure. Why can't you get rid of Zhou Guanyu, Nick? Why are you so bad? Your driving confidence is now high. You should be driving better. Weirdly. Tsunoda did purple first sector. Make what of you will of that. Yuki's having a royal tussle with his former teammate. Oh, so he got overtaken on the straight and then re-overtook him into turn 3. Oh, I think they touched there. That might just be bad animation, but is Yuki still on always defend? No, he isn't. Nick's always on always defend and still keeps getting overtaken every lap by Zhou Guanyu. Just over 3 laps to go. Hamilton got through Gasly. Gasly's left Tsunoda behind at some point. We've now finally run out of fuel again, equivalent to what we need. Nick still can't stay ahead of Zhou Guanyu because he's useless. Stop attacking him there. I need to get a lap where he's definitely ahead going out of turn 3. And, you know, Zhou Guanyu isn't having a nibble. There, right. Now deploy, Nick. You can't actually push fuel, ironically. Get out of a second, Nick. Oh, for God's sake. Why are you so bad? Why are you so bad, Nick De Vries? He started this race 17th. No, he started this race 16th. He had a strategy that was to his benefit, 13 seconds better than the standard strategies given to us. Admittedly, the AI don't, the AI do exactly the same strategies. He started this race 16th and has finished the race 18th, barely holding on to 19th. Staying ahead of 19th, with one of the people who was ahead of him out. Meanwhile, Tsunoda started 13th, finished 14th. Like, in the grand scheme of things, finishing 14th with Tsunoda isn't that bad. It's the last lap for the leader, but the leader is there, so it's not the last lap for Tsunoda. In fact, as long as he gets across the line ahead of Leclerc, he's guaranteed to be 14th. There we go. I don't know if he's within range of... He's in DRS range of Gasly. I mean, if he can get Gasly on this last lap... Go on, Yuki! De Vries is lapped. I can actually push his fuel, I don't realise, because De Vries is lapped. He stayed ahead of Zhou Guanyu at least, so not the worst. Come on, Yuki, you can do it. I believe in you. Actually, is it better to be behind? I can say, is it better to be behind here? Because is there enough DRS room to actually overtake? There isn't. That's a shame. Hamilton finished 12th. Another win for Leclerc. Won the last 2 then. Is Max yet to win a race here? It was Perez for the first 2, right? Perez won the first 2, so it's Perez, Leclerc, Max yet to win a race, remarkably. Hulkenberg gets points to add more people to that list. Still only 14 people now getting points. The only people not to get points. The Alpha Tauris, the Alfa Romeos, Sargent and Piastri. That better finish by Bottas is really ruining our constructors right now. Because Albon has points and Norris has points now. I never know which side to go for this because I haven't made the box small enough to fit on the left-hand side, so I cover up the places. I mean, bear in mind that Hamilton and Alonso started behind everyone, pretty much. Logan Sargent did start 19th rather than 20th. I'm fairly certain Oscar Piastri started ahead of Nick de Vries, so the fact they're down 2 places with 2 people going through, I don't know if that's a good thing or not, because obviously Logan Sargent's got them both in the process as well. But terrible race for Alexander Albon for whatever reason, and a superb race from the back from Fernando Alonso to 6th, fastest pit stops. I didn't show you the full table there, and I can't go back. Leclerc's on top. No, Perez is still on top, Leclerc is second. You saw it before, I went back to show you the full results. We still got the point from the first race, but Mercedes are now on that board. 2.5 isn't actually horrific, but yeah, slow start for Yuki doesn't help matters. We're consistent in how bad we are. Let's see what next improved. Overtaking reactions. Adaptability has gone from 74 to 76. Yuki Tsunoda. That's gone up 2 points. Braking's up to 80, that's good. And Lawson's developing in a couple of spots, that's nice. We have low confidence, thank you. I would just like to point out, by the way, satisfied in Baku, getting 14th is satisfied, apparently. Actually, I mean, it's where we should be 7th is, 14, 15. And to be fair, we probably would have done better in Australia if it was Nick de Vries who crashed and not Yuki Tsunoda. Again, no F3 race in Azerbaijan. Boschung, Doohan, Daruvala. How is that shaping up? Daruvala, Doohan, Boschung, Porsche already 4th, weirdly. But that's it from Azerbaijan. I'll see you immediately for Miami next time around. It's in 4 days' time, I think. There's not a lot of time between these 2 Grand Prix, new ATR period. I've got to start developing new pieces again, but slow and steady progress. 14th is better than it was so far, I think. It's the best result, I believe, so far. Yuki 14th in Bahrain, Nick 14th in Australia, which apparently was still disappointing then, apparently, but not here. I can't fathom that one, but never mind. If you enjoyed this, do like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal by now, but until next time, ta-ra.